Hold up, Browns Nation. We need to talk about what just went down, and trust me, you're not going to like what I'm about to tell you. Picture this. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left on the clock. Your rookie quarterback has a chance to silence the doubters and show he's got ice in his veins. Instead, Kevin Stefanski pulls him from the game. Yeah, you heard that right. The moment every young quarterback dreams of, the moment that separates the pretenders from the contenders, and our coaching staff said, nah, we're good. I'm talking about Shedeur Sanders, and before you start typing in the comments that I got the name wrong, let me stop you right there. The original story had some details mixed up, but the controversy is real, and it's exactly what we need to be discussing right now as Browns fans who demand better. Here's what actually happened, and why it should have every single one of you questioning our development strategy. We've got a young quarterback who, yes, struggled in that preseason finale. 3 completions on 6 attempts, sacked multiple times, 14 measly yards through the air. Those numbers are ugly, no sugarcoating it. But here's what separates champions from also-rans. When the lights get brightest, when the pressure peaks, do you fold or do you rise? Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back on this one, and for once, I actually disagree with the man. He said Sanders looked very, very bad, and that the coaching staff was protecting him from himself. But let me ask you something, Browns faithful. When has playing it safe ever gotten us to the promised land? When has protecting our players from adversity ever built the mental toughness we need to win in January? You want to know what I think happened? I think our coaching staff got scared. They saw those ugly numbers, they felt the weight of expectation, and they chose the easy way out. They chose comfort over growth, safety over opportunity. And that, my friends, is exactly the kind of thinking that's kept us wandering in the wilderness for decades. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the argument for patience. This wasn't a first-round pick we're talking about. Late-round selections need time, they need development, they need a careful approach. But there's a difference between patient development and outright fear. There's a difference between protecting your investment and refusing to let it grow. Kevin Stefanski came out after the game with all the right coach speak. I don't concern myself with outside opinions, he said. I'm committed to his development. But here's what he's missing. Sometimes development means throwing your young player into the fire and seeing what he's made of. Sometimes development means letting him fail spectacularly so he can learn what it takes to succeed spectacularly. Joe Flacco weighed in too, and I've got to give the veteran credit. He knows what it's like to be thrown into impossible situations as a young quarterback. That's part of being a rookie, Flacco said. You're going to get thrown into situations that maybe you don't think are ideal. The man's speaking truth, and our coaching staff should listen. But let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture, because this decision tells us everything about the current state of this franchise. We've got Deshaun Watson under center, sure, but what happens when he gets hurt? What happens when we need a spark, when we need someone who's battle-tested and ready to step up? You don't build that kind of quarterback in practice. You don't develop that kind of mental toughness in controlled environments. The Browns have been on an upward trajectory, no doubt about it. Stefanski has done good work. The roster is talented. The defense can dominate. But championship teams are built on more than just talent and coaching philosophy. They're built on players who stared down adversity and refused to blink. They're built on quarterbacks who felt the weight of the moment and still delivered the throw. Here's what really gets under my skin about this whole situation. We're talking about a 2-minute drill in a preseason game. The stakes couldn't be lower, but the learning opportunity couldn't be higher. This was the perfect chance to see what our young quarterback was made of, to give him a taste of what he'll face when the games actually matter. Instead, we chose to punt on that opportunity. And before you start defending the coaching staff, let me remind you of something. Great quarterbacks aren't born, they're forged. Tom Brady wasn't handed success. He earned it through moments exactly like this. Aaron Rodgers didn't become clutch by avoiding pressure situations. The legends of this game were built in moments when their coaches believed in them enough to let them fail. Now, I'm not saying Sanders was guaranteed to succeed in that situation. Maybe he would have thrown a pick-six. Maybe he would have taken another sack. But you know what? At least we would have learned something. At least we would have given him the chance to show us what he's capable of when everything's on the line. This is about more than just one preseason game, Browns Nation. This is about the culture we're building, the mindset we're instilling in our players. When we choose safety over opportunity, when we choose protection over growth, we're sending a message to every player in that locker room. We're saying that we don't trust them to rise to the occasion. The AFC North is a bloodbath. Baltimore has Lamar Jackson making magic happen every week. Cincinnati has Joe Burrow slinging it with ice water in his veins. Pittsburgh has, well, they've got their issues, but they've also got a culture of toughness that runs bone deep. And us. We're pulling our quarterbacks out of 2-minute drills because we're worried about their confidence. That's not championship behavior. That's not the kind of mentality that's going to get us back to the playoffs and beyond. If we want to compete with the elite teams in this league, we need players who embrace pressure, not coaches who run from it. Look, I get it. Development takes time. Building a quarterback is a delicate process. But somewhere along the way, that quarterback needs to be tested. Somewhere along the way, he needs to prove that he can handle the moment when it matters most. And if we're not willing to give him that chance in a meaningless preseason game, when exactly are we going to give it to him? The frustrating part is that Sanders has shown flashes. The arm strength is there, the ability to extend plays is real. Those are NFL-level traits that you can't teach. But mental toughness, clutch performance, that only comes through experience, through being put in situations where failure is possible, but success is even sweeter. This whole situation reminds me of why we've been stuck in mediocrity for so long. We overthink everything. We protect instead of develop. We choose the safe path instead of the path that leads to greatness. And then we wonder why other franchises are hoisting Lombardi trophies while we're making excuses. Here's my challenge to Kevin Stefanski and the entire Browns organization. Stop treating our young players like they're made of glass. Stop choosing comfort over growth. The next time you have a chance to see what one of your developing players is made of, take it. Because champions aren't built in bubble wrap, they're built in the crucible of pressure and expectation. Browns Breakout is always going to give you the real talk, the unfiltered truth about this franchise we all love and sometimes want to shake by the shoulders. If you're tired of the same old excuses and ready for honest analysis of what it's going to take to get this team over the hump, smash that like button and subscribe. We're building something special here, and we need passionate fans who aren't afraid to demand excellence. The season's coming fast, Browns Nation, and we've got decisions to make. Are we going to be a franchise that develops champions, or are we going to keep playing it safe and wondering why we never quite get there? The choice is ours, but the clock is ticking, and the AFC North isn't going to wait for us to figure it out.